Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I have a real small, fast project, but what it is I just did a lathe project for beginners, sort of. It was a little coupling. Well, I got a lot of emails from people telling me that I should do more beginner lathe projects. So when I got this from my friend who I did that coupling for, I thought, here's my chance, I can do that. It's a small plastic part. Well, it's actually Delrin. Delrin AF. I guess the AF stands for, it's Teflon filled, which is good for this project. What the project is, take a look at this. Pretty simple part, 3/8 inch fractional for the OD. A 1/8 inch drill through, which means just pop a drill through there and that will be good enough. Plastic Delrin AF, which means it's Delrin with Teflon in it, and which is good lubricity. Teflon is pretty smooth. He said just 1/8 wide, and he said fractional with a scale, but I wanted to see if I can get my little mini lathe to get a ±5, and you should be able to. What this project is a thrust washer. Let's see, I've got this stuff written down. I can't remember anything. If you've seen my last video, you know that. It's a thrust washer made out of Delrin. It has a real low load factor and it's real low speed. Let me give you a little history on what this is for. What he builds are little RC robots. You may have seen these things on television. They're little battle bots, I think they call them. But he does miniature ones. There's a ferry weight, which is 150 grams. The whole battle bot has to be 150 grams. For example, 1 pound is 454 grams. So it's really, what is it, like 1/3? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, about 1/3 of a pound. The next size is ant weight, which is 1 pound. And then there's a beetle weight, which is 3 pounds. Like I said, what I'm building or making for him is a little thrust washer. As you saw on the print here, it's 3/8 in diameter. This is 5/8, my material. And he just wants a 1/8 drill through. But just take a drill and drill it through. It will be fine just like that. I don't have to ream it or anything. And he wants it about 1/8 wide. I wrote down on there ±5. I gotta have some kind of tolerance if I'm gonna do this. But like I said, this is Delrin AF. It's Teflon filled. I'm not sure how they do that. But it's pretty neat to be making little parts for guys that are going into combat. But I thought we'd just do this real quick and show some of the beginners what you have to do to just do a quick little project. Let's get over to the lathe. This thing's only about 2 inches long, which is good because the back it is chuck is only 5/8, and when I measure it with a micrometer, it's 627 thousandths. What I'm going to do is face it off, drill it through 1/8, and then turn it down to 3/8 of an inch. It's all fractional. Even the cutoff, he says 1/8. It's nothing special. A bevel gear or something. There's a housing and there's a bevel gear that drives this. And he just wants this thrust washer in between to hold that axle in place. He just wants one. He said he could buy them from McMaster Car, but he has to buy a whole bag of them. And he said he would if I couldn't make it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to start out by just facing this thing off. High gear, forward. Let me slow down here a little bit. I like to have a dead stop because when I face, I don't have a carriage lock. And what I like to do is set a dead stop and hold the carriage against it while I face it off. I'm going to speed this up a little bit too. Turning plastic, you want it to run a little bit faster than steel, and I was cutting steel on it last time. So I got it going a little bit faster. I'm not sure how fast it's turning. I always planned on putting some kind of tachometer on here to find out what the speeds are and putting the gauge on here. Never got to that. I had just put out a video on how to make sure your tool is on center. And I did that right before I started filming. Real quick run through. I just put my scale in between the part and my tool, run it up there real quick till I touched it. If it would have leaned back, I know it's too low. If it would have leaned forward, I know it's too high. But I use this tool all the time. Everything is locked in. So it's on center. Okay, let's face this thing off. What I'm going to do next is just drill it through. Let's put that drill bit in here. And drill this thing through. Like I said, I only have to make one, so I'm only going to go in about a 1/2 inch. That way, if I screw up the first one, I could make a few more. I'm not using a center drill. This drill bit has a split center, and it sort of just picks up the center by itself and stays on center. Let's see if it does that. I don't know if you've seen that, but it touched and then centered itself. These lathes, you could spend a lot of time trying to adjust all of this so it's perfectly on center, but there's too many variables. Is your spindle in line with the ways? It should be, but the way these little machines are machined, very unlikely. Is the tailstock straight? Who knows? I have mine so that it was adjusted so about 1 inch out from the chuck, it should be relatively centered about 1 inch out from this chuck. So it takes a little bit to self-center. You want to make sure it's somewhat on center, because if it isn't, it's going to cut oversized. But that also depends on how well your drill is sharpened. If it's not sharpened correctly, it's going to cut off center, which is going to make a hole too big. All I need to do now, I faced it, I need to turn it. He wants a part about 3/8 of an inch in diameter. Again, I'm going to move my dead stop. I'm just going to put my turning tool in here and let the carriage push my dead stop here to where I need it. I was going to cut, let's see, how far is that? It's about 5/8 of an inch. To be rough, I'm going to lock down my dead stop. I don't like to have to keep watching, like if I had a digital readout, I don't like watching for my zero. I want to pay attention to my chips and what's going on the cutting part of it. So if I have a dead stop set, I could just bring it right up to the stop and not have to worry about stopping in the same place all the time. But I'm going to touch off and then just start turning. After I put it in gear. All right. I'm going to make a little mark so I could also see when it's going to stop or hit the dead stop. After my first cut, I always take a quick measurement to see where I'm at. Let's do that. 600 and about 4 thousandths. So I need to take at least 200 thousandths, 50 thousandths at a time. If you're going to grab material off of here with your hands, make sure the spindle is stopped. I've experienced trying to pull it off, cutting myself, and if it's not if it's plastic like that, it'll pull you right in. Well, even steel, aluminum, anything, it'll pull your hand right in there. You don't want to do that. Okay, I forgot where I'm at. 4:55. We'll take another 50. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That should be 405. And it is, so that leaves about 30, it's 408. That leaves 33 thousandths. I'm going to take 15 thousandths. There's 18 and a half thousandths. It's pretty much taking exactly what I'm dialing off on, so I'm going to take 18 thousandths. I just screwed up on what I dialed off. This dial, when I dial in 1,000, it takes 2 thousandths off the diameter. And I took 5 thousandths, then another 5 and another 5. Actually, I was taking 5 plus 10 plus 10. So I need to back this off and then get rid of the backlash, come back forward. Here, watch this. I'm going to back off to right where I started out. I was right there. It says 21, 2, 3, 23. But each line takes 2 thousandths off. So I'm going to go back a little bit because of the backlash and come back forward. That's where I was. Now I'll take off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Plus 3. 1, 2, 3. If I didn't screw everything up, should be a finished size. Let's do this. Here goes everything if I didn't dial this correctly. Let's do this. Let's measure this. If I did everything right, there could be at least 1,000 extra on here. Thousand and a half extra. All right, let's get that cut off in there. If you ever screw up, don't worry about it. Try to backtrack like I just did. If you make a mistake, that's all right. People make mistakes. Okay, I'm going to put my cutoff tool in there, but before I do that, I want to get rid of that sharp corner. I'm going to take a little countersink and just stab the ID to get rid of that sharp corner on the ID. My cutoff tool, I may have told you this already today, but I want to, I already touched it off to make sure that it's just a little bit lower. I'll do it again. It's just slightly leaning back, which means the cutoff tool is just slightly lower than center. If everything's so important about getting it on center, why would I worry about this being below center? When you're cutting off a part, your diameter is largest right in the center. So when you take your tool, if it's above center and it grabs, the tool grabs that material and kind of sucks it in, when it pulls down into a heftier cut, which could just totally mess everything up. If you're a little bit below center, it relieves itself. The diameter is already moving away and it makes it less of a cut, which kind of relieves the pressure and the tool can regain where it's supposed to be. That's theory anyway, but it's always worked for me and a lot of other guys I know. Anyway, let's set this up. I do it with my compound is always set at 90 degrees unless I am going 90 degrees to the part, unless I am cutting something on an angle. That's so I can use my compound. I'm going to reset this stop. All right, I'll bring this up. I already know that it is square, 90 degrees. I already checked that. I touched my tool right up against the part while my carriage was up against the stop. Now, I know that cutoff tool, we can measure it again. I know that cutoff tool is 60 thousandths. 62 thousandths? It is 62 thousandths, 1/16. So, first thing I want to do is move that 1/16. I'll set that at 0. This is direct measurement. For every 1,000th I dial in, it moves 1,000. And I want to dial off 62. So that's 5, 10, 15, 55, and 62. I'm going to reset my 0. So I can take 1/8 of an inch. Actually, I could probably just scale it, is what he told me, just a scale measurement, but I wanted to see if I can get plus or minus 5. Okay, 40. I think that is at 1/8. It appears to be. I need to get a small pin, put it in my chuck to grab this. Okay, here's a small pin. It's 1/16 of an inch. And put that in my chuck. If it'll grab it. Yes, it will. I'm going to put this in the hole so that when I cut it off, it will catch it for me. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to hit that inside edge right there with the file before I cut it off. Now I'll finish cutting it up. That little pin did its job. Okay, let's go sit down at the table and we'll measure this thing. First, I want to get rid of this little burr on the ID. Let's do that by hand. All right, let's go over to the table and measure it. Okay, I measured it before I got over here and turned the cameras back on. And I ended up cutting another piece. Why? Because I didn't like the first one. If you remember, I touched off with my cutoff tool and then moved over a 1/16 of an inch and then a little further. But when I measure it, it is 122.5 thousandths, which is well in tolerance. But I thought, okay, now that I know where my cutoff tool is, I moved over another 1/16 of an inch and then another 1/8 of an inch. And when I measured that one, it is 125 thousandths. Because everything was already set, I have a 2 or 3 thousandths worth of pressure already against that I couldn't tell. But well in tolerance of my ±5. I think that was a pretty neat beginner's project for cutting Delrin. It was pretty simple, if I could just remember what the hell I'm doing. But this is interesting, just knowing what he's using it for. I knew he used to build little mechanisms and little robots and cars or whatever. But right here, probably about 15 minutes away from my house, there's a place called Decibel's headquarters, and they have all of these tournaments. And in August 22nd, where is this? August 22nd, Decibel's headquarters, DECIBULLZ, Decibel's headquarters. It's at 4103 South Madison Street. If you come to Colorado and you're in Fort Collins, Unit A, stop by. And that's between 9 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the evening. They're going to have all these matches or fights, whatever, combat robotics. But this is a pretty simple part. And I had fun making them. Setting my tools at the right height and making sure that it was all going to work. I messed up a little bit with my dialing it off. That's because I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. But it looks like I got it. I was 3 thousandths under nominal. I was going for 125 ±5. I got it to 122.5 or 123. But like I said, I did the second one and it was right on. Okay, I think this video is coming to an end, so I'm going to have to say, until next time, enjoy.